Welcome. This is Joe Peters from MomFit with Joe Peters. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network and Singo TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download the Singo TV app on the respective app stores, iOS and Android devices. While you are downloading, make sure that you rate and leave a comment. The app is free. Singo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV Stick, Roku, and Roku Stick in all smart TVs since 2016. Today we have a very special guest from all the way on the other side of the world from Ireland, Marianne Maguire. And Marianne is I'm super excited to work with her and share her wisdom with all of you because Marianne is the creator of the Let Go and Know, how to let go of struggles and know who you really are. And mamas, who else in the world will need to know how to let go and know that we mom to bees and new mamas? Marianne guides women to experience the sweet relief of finally living from who they really are, to discover their purpose and unlock their power and expression so that they can live, create, connect, and fulfill the life that they were born to live without always seeking, trying to fix themselves, overgiving, or being in anxiety and doubt. Now you are starting to think why I'm so excited to talk with Marianne. Okay, Marianne is a gift for seeing beyond a person's conditional conditioning and personality to the beautiful truth of what they really are. Her work comes from a direct experience of being awareness. She had this profound spiritual experience when she was 6 years age, when she received certain fundamental and universal truths about reality and who we really are. Marianne is here to share with us a lot of wisdom. Welcome to the show, Marianne. Thank you for being here. And I would love if we just start with a little bit about who you are, your story, and what made you start working on this let go and release that you are doing in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joe. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and it's a joy for me to be with your gorgeous listeners as well and your viewers. So, yeah, I'd love to share a bit about my story because I feel it'll give you a foundation, like why listen to me. So, fundamentally, I never actually forgot where I came from before I came into the physical. And when I was a child of about 6 years of age, I had a profound spiritual experience. And certain fundamental universal truths were shown to me about the nature of reality. And I knew that there existed something so inexplicably beautiful, even beyond our idea of heaven. And I also knew that this reality where we live our lives is only the tiniest part of what is true. So I experienced being awareness and I experienced oneness. So oneness wasn't a concept for me, it was a very real foundation for my life. But then, in contrast to this beautiful, expansive, profound experience, I spent most of my childhood feeling squashed. And I had a very dominant father. There was a lot of fear. It was a very strict upbringing. So I wasn't allowed to express myself at all. It was very, very strict. And so I ended up suspending my power to play the game. And then, because I longed for this experience, because it was so profound and so comforting, and I knew problems didn't exist there, I, excuse me, spent the next 20 years searching for kind of how to get back, how to, the secret to happiness. And after 20 years of searching, one day I could feel something building within me. And I stopped and I asked my guides the question, out of all the studying and searching and looking and general angst, what is the most important thing we can do to find what we're looking for, to find happiness? And out of the sea of awareness, the answer unfurled in my being, and it was let go of struggle and know who you really are. And the information for the way I was to use the spiritual experience I had as a child came through me over the course of the following month. And I applied the information, and my life transformed from that kind of cement like stuckness that I was in. And I stepped out of the box I was put in and into my power. So I stepped out of the fog of the mind and into the clarity of the heart. And this is my desire for you. This is why I'm here. This is my mission. I've been doing it for years. And I really want women, I usually work with women and mothers, to know how magnificent they are, that they can let go of overwhelm, and that they can tap into the truth of who they really are if they stop resisting and allow the energy up and out. This isn't it. It isn't what we think. Most of the time we're living from our conditioning, but there's something more. Like, it's really exciting, and it's just under the surface, and you just have to tap into it. So really, it's kind of like the issue is a case of mistaken identity. They People think that their gender, their occupation, their nationality, their mind, their thoughts, their past. But you have these things, but you are not this. Fundamentally, you're eternal, and you're divine, and you're magnificent, and you are infinite. So when you can tap into that, even just a little bit, then you don't get triggered so much from your patterns, and you're not living from your patterns and your past and what people spoke over you. Because up until the age of 7, we absorb everything without filters. So what teachers say, what society says, what friends say, what parents say, kind of out of survival, we absorb everything because we're in a theta brainwave state. And, and this is how we respond to the world. So afterwards, you could be, a 30-year-old woman, and, your baby starts crying, and all of a sudden, this energy comes up within you, and you're in overwhelm. Or even when your children are a bit older, it's like, why do they never listen to me? And this trigger comes up, and it kind of takes over, and it's every single day. But if you can just realize that that's not who you really are, it's only a pattern, then you don't become engulfed in it. You don't become a prisoner of your thoughts. You don't become trapped in it. And you can allow the energy up and out and live a completely different life where you can be more present with your children and enjoy every moment, because, they're small for such a, I don't want to say short period, but when you become present, it kind of stretches it, because, time is not real. It's a linear concept. Linear time isn't real. And when you're present with your children, you can really enjoy them more, as opposed to being triggered by whatever's happening and being in flight or fight. It's just so important to calm and soothe your nervous system and be more in, calm your parasympathetic. You want to be in rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system, rather than survival, flight or fight. And the way sometimes when we get so worried about our children, we can be in that mode a lot. So it's just all about becoming aware, so that your life can be made so much easier and so much smoother with less struggle. It doesn't have to be that way. And this pertains to everything. Relationships, health, everything, money. It's really exciting. I'm very passionate about it.
Thank you so much. There was so many nuggets that I want to go deeper into. I was gonna see if I grab them all. But for the mamas that are hearing us, one of the things that Marianne and I align is my engineer mind is always thinking on preventive, on how to be proactive, on how to anticipate things. And one thing that Marianne said that I want all of you to take note on is your child experience, but it's the same with your babies. Your baby is learning and hearing what you and the world around them said from the time that they're in the womb. They're hearing you up to 7 years old. So they are a sponge. They don't have the capacity in their brain to filter. So one of the things that we are doing here with Marianne and all the other ones is how we can, no matter what was our experience, in a conscious way, we can choose something different for our children
Mm,
because we understand this. Now that we understand that whatever I say to my kid, he take it without a filter, that doesn't mean that I may not be perfect, not saying anything that is not appropriate in a time that I'm in a red zone, but now I'm aware of it and now I can repair it
mm,
before he or she just internalize that that is true because mommy told me that when I was a baby, when I was 1 year old, 1 2 year old. So that is very, very important. Marianne, let's gonna talk a little bit on how to get into that awareness and not a far response, especially, and then if you can share some of simple tips and techniques, because um, that is what is literally change the experience of a pregnant woman during labor and during the first year of life, because those 18-24 months are full of cortisol. We are not
yeah.
sleeping. We are stressed. Our life is changing. Our hormones are changing. So if I will pick three times in the life of a woman that are the most important for us to do what you are saying, are these three, in my opinion. When we
Mm,
are teenagers, adolescents, because we are making a big change
yeah.
as womanhood. When we become a mom, and then when we go into menopause. So
Menopause.
with motherhood, how these mamas can start doing some of the things that you are sharing and how they can start actually let go of the resistance and just tap into that smooth flow that you are talking about.
I'm going to tell you now. I'm excited to tell you. I agree with everything you're saying. And can I share something as a foundation first, just so that your beautiful mothers listening and watching can uh, know that this works? So, when you were talking about childbirth there, you reminded me. So, I better give the example. I used to be completely terrified of childbirth because of what I was told. So, I'll just leave that there. When I became pregnant for the first time, I realized, oh, there's nothing I can do about this. This is happening. I can't put this off. I can't go, la, 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 I'll just procrastinate. No, this is happening in 9 months. So I applied what I am talking about and what I'm going to share with you. And I went from being completely terrified, like phobia almost, to having a pain-free, drug-free, natural water birth at home twice. So this works. This isn't just, oh, la, 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 la. This is a nice concept. No, no, no. Like, oh, this has to come out. Like this was like a time in my life when I was terrified. And I used it. Talk about practical. Talk about practical. I mean, is there any other more earthy and sacred time in a woman's life than giving birth? My God. So there you go. So a few of the ways that I use fundamentally, so I have a practice, the becoming aware listening practice. And I'll share a bit about that with you in a minute. But look, you know what's really important and that some of you might miss? Connecting with yourself every day and giving yourself time to go within and be on your own, preferably in nature and in silence. I know it can be difficult, but it's very important. You have little ones, maybe when you're putting them down for a nap or something. Touch a tree, a living tree, ground yourself. If you can, take your shoes off and go barefoot on the earth. Grounding is enormously good for you. We're electromagnetic beings as well as biological, you're spiritual. You've no idea. I cannot start talking about the benefits of grounding for your health. So just as a little thing, if you can ground yourself, it grounds information that you'll be receiving later on. Anyway, it's just so good for you. I can't go into that now. If you can do a little bit of meditation every day, you do not need to do the lotus position. You do not need to learn complicated mudras. If you can just afford to allow yourself 2 minutes a day, even, I mean, obviously 20 is better, but if you can only afford a couple of minutes a day to do this, do so. Close your eyes and just listen to the silence. Like, if that's all you did, don't put pressure on yourself. you have enough going on. You don't need any more pressure and how to learn complicated meditation techniques. So it's extremely important to, in my opinion, be out in nature if you can. And like, even if you can't, look at a YouTube video on the universe, the stars at night, a babbling brook, water, the ocean, a forest, whatever calls to you. Just even if you are at the top of an apartment building or something, you can't get out for a while or whatever it is. Nature is hugely important because when you're out in nature, you can start to receive creativity, and that is so incredibly fulfilling. Now, I have a book, From Longing to Belonging, How to Finally Unlock Your Own Peace, Happiness, and Fulfillment. And at the end of this book, I share the Becoming Aware listening practice. And this is just so beautiful. It's so life-changing. It came to me and I thought, I have to share this. I have to share this because it totally changed my life. I still use it. I still use this whenever something arises, because when you're a mother, you're going to be provoked by your little ones. It's just kind of the way it is. For example, energy will come up from the past. Why doesn't anybody ever listen to me when they're a bit older than babies? Why doesn't it? And this energy will come up. I've had women work with me, and me, I had this too. It's so overwhelming and kind of frustrating because you want to keep your children safe. So when they don't listen, it's like red alert, red alert, red alert, and the cortisol starts flowing. So you need a way to be able to handle these triggers that come up. And instead of going, oh my God, this is so annoying, why does this keep happening? You can see it as a glorious opportunity to take your power back from your past, from your patterning, what's been holding you back for years and years and years. So very briefly, the kind of heart of this practice is about stopping, acknowledging, first of all, acknowledging, okay, something's coming up. I can feel this energy, because when you push it down and when you resist it, that's when problems start. It will just keep on happening in your life, and in the future, it could lead to, dis-ease, possibly. It's really, really beneficial the second the energy comes up to stop, acknowledge, and give yourself permission to allow it up and out. And you don't have to have loads of analysis. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but preferably if you can just be somewhere in private, maybe not around your baby, not around your little ones, because the energy can be quite intense. But sometimes we're talking 30 to 90 seconds, where when you stop and acknowledge and give yourself permission for the energy to come up and out, your hand on your heart, and you realize, hang on, I'm taking my power back from this. I am not going to allow my past or what was done to me. I mean, everybody's doing their best, our parents are doing their best, but I'm not going to allow it to take over my life. And you allow this energy up and out, have a good cry, write about it. Whatever comes up, you give yourself permission to express it. That frozen energy that maybe froze when you were 6 and a trauma happened can become reintegrated into your system, and the energy starts to flow again. It's
Okay,
absolutely,
Marianne,
yeah,
we are having so much information. I need to stop you there so we can keep it into chunks that the mamas can take. A couple of things
yeah,
that Marianne said that I want everybody to know because are so important and write it down is to get that center and that ground. Her first two tips were, the first one was ground yourself in nature. Get, if you are pregnant, if you have a newborn, if you have a baby, get a routine of trying your best to first thing in the morning go outside. Marianne said get barefoot. uh, all of you know how important is
oh,
oops.
oops, don't know what happened there. You're back.
We are back, I think. Go back into nature, hug a tree. So that was the first tip of wisdom that she had. One thing that she said that was beautiful, because that is what we do MomFit is we want to give tools to everybody. So I want everybody to pay attention to what she said. She was not excluding people that may not have access to nature. So if you live in an apartment in downtown New York City, where it's going to be really hard for you to do that, then she give you another option. Go into YouTube and play a video for nature. And actually, she reminds me of a research that show that in hospitals, they make a study in hospitals and show that hospital rooms that had paintings of nature were showing faster healing rates that rooms that didn't have nature paintings, because even when the patients were not in nature, just having the picture was triggering them. So that is beautiful. And then the second one that she said that was very powerful is meditate. And we were actually having a guest last week, a meditation. And one thing that Marianne was saying, well, for the ones that don't know, when she talked about mudras are the movements, the positions of the hands. But she's completely right. Like, I want you to hear that. Society is pushing out, oh, if you want to meditate, you need to be in a lotus position for 60 minutes. We mamas don't have 60 minutes sometimes. And that will take you away from the benefits of connecting with the silence. So take Marianne advice and say, I'm going to give it to myself for 2 minutes, 2 minutes only. And now, one thing that I want to go deeper with you on that second part that you share is the part of pausing. Because one thing that is very beautiful in what you say that triggers me into thinking about is, I will say, and I want to hear your opinion, over 99% of the time, we are not triggered by our children, we are not triggered by our babies, we are triggered by what they are reflecting back from our past. So it's not that they are doing something wrong, it's that what we are doing is punching and is triggering something from our past. And I love how you were saying, okay, is part of acknowledge the feeling. And you know what I was thinking, and I want to hear your opinion, because when I was hearing about this, I was thinking, if we all not only do it but teach our children to do it as well, I will bet you that we will end.
Oh, it's gone again. You're back.
We will end a lot of the lifestyle issues, because a lot of what happened with emotional eating is we don't process those emotions and we just start pushing them with food. So let's gonna talk
Yeah.
about that ritual of how we can start getting ready,
Mhm.
because as soon as you know how to do it, it's good. But how the mamas that are never been doing that on being aware and then let it out can start practicing that.
Mhm. That's what happens. It is literally happening in your energy field. The energy becomes frozen when you're a child. So if some trauma happened, and it doesn't have to be a huge, big trauma, it can be big T trauma, small T trauma, as they say. And the energy literally becomes frozen. So then when you're an adult and something triggers, it's that energy that's being triggered. It's not uh, the actual circumstance or the person on the outside. So that's why becoming aware is so important. It's what's going on the inside. And then it's like a resonance. So I do a lot of sound healing and I use a lot of tuning forks. So if I have a 528 hertz tuning fork and I strike it, and there's another 528 hertz tuning fork at the other end of the room, it will begin to sound automatically, because we live in a vibrational universe. And so it's like if there's energy in you that is unhealed, it will resonate with whatever is on the outside that's stimulating it. So that's why what I was saying, when you allow the energy up and out, you're creating space. You're creating space so that you can meet who you really are, and you can receive intuitive guidance from source, from the universe, from God. And that's what makes life so completely fulfilling and delicious, receiving this energy. It's the one thing in my life. I'm grateful for many, many things, but that's huge in my life, to be a channel for this. And we all have it. You have it. And when you create space, you can hear the guidance of your intuition. And intuition is hugely, hugely important. But you can make all kinds of decisions, from, what food to eat, to what career, how to raise your children. It's little small things. And really, if you're interested in intuition, like what is it and what's the difference between your intuitive guidance and that chattery egoic voice in your head, really you can feel it in your body, and you can just tune into your body, and maybe close your eyes if you want to, and hold the energy of the situation or whatever it is in your hand. Hold the energy of it, and just say to yourself, does this feel light and expansive to me? And you'll probably feel it in one of the three feeling centers, your throat, your heart, or your stomach, like a gut reaction usually. And if it feels light and expansive, that's usually a yes, and you can go forward with it. Or if it feels contracted and heavy, well, then perhaps you might reconsider. But you won't be able to hear or feel this information if your energy field is cluttered with this energy. And that's why it's so important to release it, because it's within you. It's not in your child. Your child is just going along their day, doing their own thing, and it's kind of nothing to do with them. And this is something it took me a good few years to learn because of my rather strange childhood. I had to become very aware of how my children were behaving, and I had to separate and realize it's not them. It's not them, it's me. I'm it's my energy inside that I had to heal. And when I healed that, my life changed, and becoming a mother became so much more enjoyable, because I didn't have this burden. Because when you're aware, when you're a mother who's very aware, or if you had a trauma when you were a child, you're going to be kind of hyper vigilant, and you'll be in survival a lot of the time, because you care so much for your children. And it's very, very important to give yourself a break. You know what? I'd say you're doing an amazing job. I mean, you're on this show, you're trying to learn. You're probably doing an absolutely amazing job. You just ease up on yourself. And do you know what I mean by that point, that hypervigilance?
Yeah.
It, it's so important, because it's not, we want to enjoy our children. We don't want to be in flight or fight, Oh, don't be perfectionistic. I've actually got a free gift on my website about perfectionism, because I was trying to be perfect, with, oh, I can't let them, I can't say anything wrong, because it's going to go into their subconscious, because I knew all about it. I knew about the filters up to the age of 7. So I was being very strict on myself. And when I relaxed and let this energy go, everything just became so much easier. Don't try to be perfect. Again, you can come back and explain, go away somewhere private, let the energy up and out. And then you meet your child in the present moment, without the tether to the past or the worry about the future. You meet them in the present moment, and they sense it before you say anything. They sense it because they are so perceptive, even as babies, especially as babies. I remember being a baby, and I remember the mind I had. It was exactly the same as I have now. I was that aware, except without all the conditioning. Babies are very, very intelligent. They're geniuses. So are children. And that's why I have so much respect, and I love children and babies so much. I have so much respect for them. So it's just very important to make space.
Yeah,
And this
Marianne.
is how you do it.
And one thing that is important on that is that I would love for you to maybe share a couple of techniques on how we can get out of the fight and flight response and the cortisol in times where by nature we are in that fight. So in the fourth trimester, when we are sleep deprived, the sleep deprivation is putting us into that fight and flight response, into that cortisol level. The weeks before the birth, we are having a lot more of that cortisol because we are preparing for birth. So during those times that our biology is actually triggering some of that cortisol and some of that fight or flight response, how these mamas can actually, knowing that part of that they will not be able to control, because they will not be able to tell their baby, I need you to sleep 6 hours, so I'm not in fight or flight response because I'm not sleep deprived. How they, even having that cortisol biologically, can still tap into that awareness and that centering that you are talking about?
Well, it's really about giving yourself what you want from the outside. And very, very important tip, when you can, nap. Napping is extremely important. So when your baby is asleep, take some time to sleep yourself. Deep breathing, just very, very simple, like breathe in 4 and out 4. When you are literally, it's about becoming present. When you're very wound up, it's very important to just become present, because you can get captivated, regret the past, worry about the future. And just when you have to become poised and in the present moment. The way to do that is to connect to your body. Maybe just very simply connect to your breathing. Just breathe in 4 and you can count it, and breathe out 4. And this brings your attention into your body, and your body is always present. Your body is always in in the present moment. It's your mind that, goes off into the past and the future and takes you along with it like a runaway train. And that's what, causes all the, ooh, flight or fight. Um, so breathing and the meditation, going within, doing this practice. This is what I did. Literally everything I said to you, and grounding. Um, Grounding really helped me with my tiredness. It's, if you want, you can look into it, but we are electromagnetic beings. And if you're wearing rubber-soled shoes all the time, you're cutting yourself off from that nourishment from the earth. This is has a scientific basis to it. It's not like a, I don't, woo woo. It's scientifically proven. I mean, so much so, when I was sleep deprived, I literally went out and barefoot on the earth, and 20 minutes later, I was able to go about my day and do my dinner, cook the dinner for everybody, and get on with my day. This isn't just a concept. Grounding really works. Meditation really works. Breathing really works, and the becoming aware listening practice really works, because it recalibrates you, and you become poised in the present moment. The power and the magic is in the present moment. So when you're, in that flight or fight state, just acknowledge, stop and acknowledge. I see what I'm doing. I see what I'm doing. You come within. You can say to yourself, you can put your hand on your heart, and remember, it's all about letting go of resistance. So you can literally say, instead of resisting it and pushing it away, that child energy within you, this frozen energy that got stuck in the past, you can say, I allow, and fill in the blank of whatever it is. So I allow this frustration, overwhelm, whatever it is, I allow it to be here. And then to the part of you that's feeling that way, you can have a little dialogue with it. You allow it like a child. You're giving so much attention to your baby or your children. Start to give some attention to that child within you, and tell that child, I see you, that energy. I hear you. You're hugely significant. I love you so much. And then at that point, that that energy within you is going to feel so safe and heard and seen. Oh, you can just exhale and you can relax, and you'll probably cry. And that energy will just leave your cells of your body and leave your energy field. And all of a sudden you feel new, you feel fresh. You have got out of that. You're calming your nervous system. You're calming your nervous system. And that's what it's all about. Ground, meditate, the becoming aware listening practice, allowing it up and out. Allow whatever is there to be there. Don't resist it, or you lock it in place. It's going to be there. The next time your baby cries or whatever, you're going to be triggered again. So just allow. You wouldn't send away a child. If a child came to you sad, angry, afraid, frustrated, overwhelmed, you wouldn't say, go away, I'm too busy now to deal with you. You'd say, oh, come here, sweetheart, talk to me, what is it? Maybe you give them a hug. Just be present. You would be present with the child, so be present for that child within you, and watch how your life can transform.
That's beautiful. And one of the things that I love what you're saying, and I always remember, because in Spain, is the part of how you give the mamas that very simple tip of saying, like, hey, if anything else is not working, even just a deep breathing of counting, inhale 4, exhale 4, will ground you. And I love that, because what you were saying is so powerful, because what you were saying is that is going to bring you into the present. Is going, your mind want to start going into the future, into the past, and that is when you get the stress. But when you are right here right now, that goes away. And it makes me remind that one of the words that I wish we had in every language that we have in Spanish is the word in Spanish for worry is translated preoccupied. So when you are worried, you are
Okay.
preoccupying for something that is not happening yet. So I love that because that's a good memory, and that is so important for moms because that is exactly a good training for us moms. Because even when we start getting pregnant, like you were telling your story, we immediately start preoccupied with the future. Oh, what
Yeah.
about birth? What about a C-section? What about breastfeeding? What about the ride to the hospital? And then I love how you were saying, or when they have a newborn, what about the baby not sleeping? What if And I will tell you something, Marianne. I know that you have a huge energy, and what we are talking is really, really important because I've been doing this show all year long, and we have so much energy and so much valuable things to share today that this is the first time that we are having connection issues and
The
things
energy.
happening. So I think that there are some energies that are like, we don't want you to share all this information because it's so good. But I love that part on the connection, and I love how you go even deeper with
Mm,
the grounding outside and say, hey, the grounding outside is not only for you to be present, use it as a tool to
mm,
recharge your own internal battery. If you are depleted, and in situation like the fourth trimester, you are depleted of energy, and then you don't have many options because you cannot make your baby sleep more than what your baby needs to sleep. You can use that grounded that Marianne taught you and teach you to actually go outside barefoot and recharge your energy from that electromagnetic field, from that nature that is had an unlimited amount of energy and abundance. Marianne, I want to talk a little bit about, you have three beautiful points for this talk. One of them is you are bigger than any problem that you have. And I want you to
mm,
tell a little bit about that because that could be very scary, especially for first time mamas. Because for a first time mama, every problem that they have, especially if it has to do with their unborn baby or their newborn baby,
mm,
seems so big, so overwhelming. Seems like we will never get over it.
mm.
So why we don't talk a little bit about that part of that you are passionate about, of making mamas understand that they are bigger than any problem that they have.
Mm. I am very passionate about that because it came to me during a meditation once a few years ago. It was just the understanding and the awareness that this is the truth. So, what I would suggest or offer to you is that instead of being really close to whatever situation it is, pull back and kind of take a bird's eye view of what's going on. Now, when I do this, like because of the experience I had when I was a child, um, it's it's well, yeah, okay, it's easy for me to do because I completely understand in my cells that it's not just this. You are bigger than you think you are. So, like I said before, and I really, really mean it, and tune in to your own heart. Does this resonate with you? You are eternal. You are infinite. You are magnificent. You're not just, this little person and people putting you in a little box. This is not who you really are. You are so much bigger. And you have so much invisible support as well, by the way. And there is so much love surrounding you so that when problems occur, because they will, this is life. The older I get, I realize, oh, this is kind of normal. Like if you don't resist it, you realize problems come up. It's how you deal with them. And when you become present, they do seem to figure themselves out. But if you see yourself as a spiritual being and your babies and your children also as spiritual beings, it kind of gives you a very broad view because there's just so much more. It isn't just this. You have such power within you. This is what I knew It's what I've known all my life. I came in here knowing this. And I think you know it too. When you put your hand on your heart and tune in, you know in your heart and soul how profound you are, how beautiful you are. Like there are other realms, there's magic and beauty. There's this ineffable beauty that can't even be described, within and without. And it's within you, it's what you're made of. So I mean, society in the past makes us kind of small, and we go around and and we live from our conditioning and our past, and we just get heavier and heavier and heavier. That's not who you are. You are so much more. Just remind yourself, I'm bigger than this. And when you start to meditate, or continue to meditate, if you're meditating already, when you go within, you will connect to the source of creativity, the source of inspiration, and you'll realize you are the source. You co-create with God, with source, with the universe. You're so special. You are so special. You are so loved. Please just remind yourself, you are bigger than any problem you could ever have.
I love that. And I think that that is such a powerful reminder. And for all of you mamas, I think that this is a part that I want you to keep watching and rewatching what Marianne was saying, to actually give you that grounding on those difficult moments, on those difficult nights, on those long nights that we all have. That we don't have to be that overwhelming, that is scary, that stressful for you, if you are able to keep tapping into what Marianne was saying and keep trusting on that wisdom and that energy that you have. Marianne, one other thing that I want to touch with you right now into, that I find fascinating, and it's going to be probably a little controversial because the mom instinct pull us towards the other way. But one of the things that I love about you were saying is you don't have to protect your children from every difficult experience. And then I want to hear what is your take on that one, on why and how we can move the difficult experiences into learning experiences. Because the reality is, probably a lot of moms resonate with me on that. Like, we will do anything in our world to just like put them in
Oh
a
yeah.
little bubble and keep them completely safe and keep them completely happy for the rest of their life, avoid all the pain and the things that we suffer. So let's gonna go deep into a little bit of that, on what is that balance, and why you are saying that you don't need to protect your children for the difficult situations.
I'm the same. I'm that. Like, I'm so protective. I'm so protective of other people's children. It's not even my own. I'm just a protective person. I'm like that mama lioness, I just adore children. And it's like what I was saying. Obviously, you're protective. That's our role. What I'm kind of talking about is every little thing, every little disappointment. Because, when mine were growing up, because they're older than babies now, I put myself through a lot of suffering. Now, there's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is something, we all go through. Suffering is additional, and it's actually, suffering isn't necessary. And I know that's a bit controversial, but if you feel into it, you know what I mean. And I realized that I was suffering a lot because I was putting so much pressure on myself to try to protect my children from every little thing. Now, I'm still very protective, but if you again take the bird's eye view back, you realize, oh, thank God I don't have to be perfect, because your babies, even though they're these adorable little bundles of joy, they are actually spiritual beings and infinite and eternal, just like you. And they came here to learn from you. And they came here, I won't go way deep, but I believe that we chose our parents and they chose us as, spiritual beings before we came here. They want to learn lessons. Their souls they want to learn. They came here, we're going to meet this, we're going to do this, we're going to have this experience at age 30, we're going to go through this hiccup, but oh my God, we're going to learn forgiveness. It's going to be amazing. Your soul expands. Everybody's soul expands through these experiences. And if you try to overprotect, then you could actually be doing a disservice to your children. Now, the way to know the difference, you continue to be protective. You have to protect your children. That's why we're here as mothers. We protect them. You don't just, I'm sorry, do you ever see anybody walking across the road with a pram and they're talking to somebody, they shove the pram out in front of, like, I can't cope. I can't cope. Other people, I'm not even my children. I'm like, oh my God, I'm really protective. So obviously you continue being protective, but just know that you don't have to be perfect. They are going to go, they're going to be disappointed in school. Somebody might be being mean to them. They might go, whatever the situation is, they might encounter some bullying. When you're doing the best you can, when you give them a foundation of love, compassion, and you let them know they can always come to you and talk to you no matter what. And when you come to them after meditating and going within, and you that is your practice, and you're so much more chilled and relaxed and calm, then you can be this loving space for them. And they know they can come to you no matter what. So it kind of takes the sting out of what they're going through. But don't feel so bad, because as human beings, they're going to go through it. They're going to go through it. And you can't get you can't suffer too much because of that. But obviously, use your intuition to know, am I interfering? Or am I doing my job as a mother, which is, fundamentally to be protective, which you continue to do, but don't go overboard, because they're spiritual beings too, just like you. And they came here to have the full spectrum of experience. And we can do that in joy with them and support them through it.
So what I hear you saying is keep protecting them, but know that there are going to be things that you cannot protecting them from. And instead of letting that guilt and shame and that
Yeah,
perfectionist saying, oh, I was not able to protect them and have that, is seeing those opportunities as a gift for you to support them even deeper into giving them tools to handle that difficult situation, teaching them what is the lesson on that experience, so that they can go through the experience as an experiment to learn something versus as something that was not pleasant. Is that what you're saying?
exactly. Exactly. Because it's going to happen anyway. It's going to, and do you want to be the suffering mother, the long suffering mother who's just feeling awful? Or do you want to be in joy with your child, present with them, enjoying every moment of being there for them? Because it's not just the work that I do is transformational with women. And they do get happier. I mean, they report to me so many, even things that I never thought, like weight loss and, becoming an artist and finding their purpose and all of that. But it's not just happy, happy, happy. So they do become happier, but it's like the full spectrum of emotions. So even if sadness comes, there's kind of a sweetness to it. So even if your child is going through something, you see the full benefit together and you can support them through that, rather than you being in survival mode all the time, trying to push it away and resist it. You don't have to be perfect. It is actually a beautiful invitation for you to go within and find out what's really going on for you and your child. For you and your child. You can sit in silence together, or talk to each other about what's going on, from this beautiful just place, or go for a walk out in nature and allow it up. Talk about it. Support. It's different to suffering.
And two things that I want to point out of what Marianne was saying that I think that are very profound. The first one is going back into what she said at the beginning of the show about how the first 7 years of the life of our baby, we are completely into absorbing everything without a filter. So the first question for all of us as mamas is, that is very basic: monkey see, monkey do. So how I am behaving as a mom, how I am behaving as a person, and is that the way that I would like my child to grow believing that is the right way to behave? Because the reality is they are going to mirror in 30 years how we are behaving on those first 7 years. So if we are all the time in firefight, if we are all the time like the martyr mom that is not happy, that is suffering, unfortunately, what you are teaching them is to recreate that in their life. So I think that that was a golden nut, Marianne, of paying attention to that. It's like being a mom is not only about you being a mom, it's about you
Mhm.
teaching your child about being a person. And then the other one that I think that is beautiful is the part of you understanding that the part of the walk and talking with the babies and knowing that you don't have to wait until your baby is 4 or 5 years and cannot communicate with you. Even helping them through those difficult experiences when they are babies and talk to them, because we honor that they are also a soul that understand everything. So even if he's just babbling back to you, if you're able to just walk through, I know was a hard time, I know you were frustrated, look, these days that we are going to still start creating some of that foundation. And I love that. Marianne, we are getting closer to ending the show. And one of the things that I want to hear from you is what would be the one thing that you want to tell the moms that are right now starting this journey, that are getting into the place of getting excited and moving forward?
I'd love to I'd love to offer them comfort and encouragement. You are doing so much better than you probably think you are, and give yourself permission to receive from the higher part of you to give you support as you go through this extraordinary journey of being a mother. It's such a privilege. It's it's such a beautiful gift that we're given. And I would love for you to become more present and enjoy every moment, even the tough ones, and eliminate as much as you can the suffering through it. Do what you need to do, handle what you need to handle. But if you ground, go out in nature, do the becoming aware listening practice, allow the energy up and out, you will make space to hear the truth of who you really are and to connect with your intuition. And it just makes life so much easier. And when you're present with your baby, you remember it for the rest of your life. When you're present with your children and not worried and allowing all this energy to capture your precious attention, become poised. Don't let it steal your precious attention. Become poised and choose to become present so that you can enjoy every moment of this absolutely beautiful journey.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Marianne, what about if our audience want to reach out to you? Please share with us how they can reach out to you in social media. What is your website
Thank
before
you.
we wrap up the episode?
Sure. Thank you, Joe. So you can visit me on my site, which is www.letgoandknow.com, letgoandknow.com. And if you want to connect with me, send me an email, info@letgoandknow.com. And I have a YouTube channel, Let Go and Know. And they're, yeah, I'm sure they'll find me on Facebook or whatever, but I'd absolutely love to connect. So you can drop me an email.
Okay, Marianne, thank you so much. It was so inspiring to see somebody with so much passion, with so much heart, with so much a big mission into helping women and helping especially moms to be the best version of themselves and let go of all that garbage that we are been carrying for years. Thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and I'm looking forward to keep chatting with you and keep learning about this beautiful experience, about this transformation and this let go and know what you truly are. No,
Oh, thank
the,
you. Thank you so much, Joe. It was a real pleasure to be here with you and your beautiful viewers. Thank you.
you're welcome. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out www.spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it.